How did everyone sleep? Okay, all right. Now you're taking.
It's a
Brooks, bring
friendly,
your computer here, because you got to have internet.
I have an idea.
it's a friendly conversation of how everyone slept. If they didn't sleep good, how are they going to retain the knowledge that you're going to tell them today?
This is what I think.
Just
I think I'm gonna start going to the public library just after school because I get out after this class.
Okay.
Can you just send me an email and just say like what stuff you haven't gotten in yet, and I can check it's on there?
I can do that. I can do that.
All right, thank you.
All right, let me go ahead and share.
Didn't you have a helmet in here at some point? Like a helmet?
Yeah, I did. I don't know where it's at though.
Doesn't Fortune have a helmet? Did he steal your helmet?
No, I don't think he did. All right, here we go. Let me share my screen. All right, good deal. All right, so we got two things we're going to do today. First is our bell ringer, as it is every day. And then we have what we call paradoxical thought experiments. This is what we were going to do yesterday, but because I had some issues with the internet early on before school yesterday, I just didn't have a chance to kind of tweak it the way I wanted to. So we're doing this a little bit out of order, but I think it's going to work just the same. All right, let's see. Okay, got that presenting. All right, let's go and pull up our bell ringer on my computer so that we're all looking at the same thing. Let me zoom in a little bit for those that are in class. Okay.
Are you waiting on me?
Yeah, because you're always on your phone.
I'm sorry, Sergeant. I'll put it away.
Thank you. And then because you're on your phone and you're looking at Cameron, so I know that you're talking about something that you probably shouldn't be.
I was doing your bell.
Levi's,
Where's your computer?
Levi's asking me if
It's
I'm
not
not
charged.
Do you have a charger?
Shut up, I'm trying to help.
Dude, you
Let's
just
get
digging
away to
holes,
speak.
man. Digging holes. All right. Huh? That's what my dad used to make us do for punishment. He saw the movie Holes. He thought that was a good idea. No, it was punishment.
That's a good way to get in shape.
Me and my brother.
We're having a conversation about sleep.
Physical labor.
Okay, let's have a conversation about our bell ring.
I'm going to do tricam.
Hey, all right, here we go. So our bell ringer today by Edward Norton. Anybody know who Edward Norton is? Brooks,
Actor.
Actor, very good. We could probably take this. We could probably assume that he's an actor just based off of the quote itself. But yeah, Edward Norton. You may have seen some of his movies. I didn't think about this beforehand, Levi, but there haven't really been many movies as of late that you guys would recognize. Like the movies I've seen him in, like Fight Club, Primal Fear, all those movies.
He's incredible. He played.
Yeah, so he was the one thing you might know him from. So like before the whole Marvel universe really blew up, like one of the first movies in that sequence was the Incredible Hulk, like a standalone Incredible Hulk. And the Incredible Hulk that you see now in the Marvel movies, his name is Mark Ruffalo, actor that plays. It originally was Edward Norton, and in that first Incredible Hulk movie, 2008, I believe, it was played by Edward Norton. It had some contract disputes, so that was the only movie of the Marvel franchise that he appeared in. But hey, more you know, right? The more you know. Okay, so let's take a look at our bell ringer. So, our quote: "All people are paradoxical." This kind of goes back to what we was talking about yesterday with our quote. All people are paradoxical. No one is easily reducible. So I like characters who have contradictory impulses or shades of ambiguity. I'm gonna read it again. Okay? All right.
That ain't gonna make it make sense.
Well, look up ambiguity. Maybe that'll help.
He has to look on his phone though.
I know. That's fine. If he's gonna be on, I'm gonna put it to use. All right. You look up ambiguity. I have a hard time saying it fast, so I have to kind of like ambiguity.
Ambiguity.
Aluminium.
Open.
Huh? What does it say? What does it mean?
The quality of being open to more than one interpretation.
Oh, okay. Very good. Very good.
Inactness.
And what?
Inexactness.
Exactly. Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you. Now put your phone. You was getting on Snapchat, wasn't you? Are you on to me?
I was literally closing the tab out. Look, I'm on internet still.
All right. So all people are paradoxical. No one is easily reducible. So I like characters who have contradictory impulses or shades of ambiguity. So here's what I asked you to do. Always put complete your interpretation. I asked you kind of something specific today. A good way to go about this quote would be to attempt to explain why Mr. Norton enjoys playing characters that are paradoxical. paradigms. What do you think, Thomas?
I basically just said they just like playing characters that are 2D,
That are 2D? What do you mean by 2D?
like they don't have more layers than just what you see, like what you see. It's just one of those background characters.
Okay. So you like playing characters that are three-dimensional, that are layered. Okay. Meredith, what do you think?
I think he likes them. He likes to play characters that are like that because it makes them seem more real, seem more human, and it's just they're just more human-like because they're lots of different likes in nature.
Ooh, very good, very good. Humans are complex. Humans are complex. Let's see. Let's think of here's what I want you to do real quick. I want you to think of like some of your favorite movies. I have a list in my head that
I
I
hate this
potentially
question.
go down. Think about some of your favorite movies, or think about some of your favorite characters. Well, you got something.
I know my favorite movie,
What is it?
Moby Dick, 1953.
Of course it would be. Of course it would.
Honestly,
Let me tell you why. Please.
Tell me why.
All right, so Moby Dick is probably the most crucial film in the film industry. Even the 1953 film still stays with us to get today. You have Captain Ahab, you have Pastego, you have what's his name, Starbuck. You have all these people that are like very important to the, Moby Dick is not a movie about whales. Moby Dick is just a reference to the human mind and what the human mind does to somebody.
That's
Captain Ahab went crazy looking for the white whale, which the white whale killed him. And when he went crazy, that's our mind going crazy on things we still hold on to because he can never capture Moby Dick.
I appreciate your passion.
That's why I love Moby Dick.
I appreciate your
And you
passion.
should love Moby Dick.
I do. That convinced me. That speech right there convinced me.
one word out of the sentence.
That convinced me. Very good. Well, let me ask you this. So who's your favorite character in Moby Dick?
Probably Captain Ahab.
Why do you like Captain Ahab?
Because Captain Ahab really speaks to you.
How so? How so? How does he stick out to you? How does he speak to you?
It's just his actions. He's very, he's robust, and he's very quiet, but when he speaks, he can get thousands on his side. And I think that because Captain Ahab can speak to people, and then usually when they'll kill somebody, listen to this. In 1950, the 1953 film, Captain Ahab jumps on Moby Dick. Like he jumped on him with a harpoon, and that is what brings him to his death. He will do anything to conquer the odds of killing this whale. And that is why I think Moby Dick should be in the King Kong versus Godzilla movie.
You know how things go full circle? That's like going full circle with a broken arm. You're just trying to do your best to complete that circle.
I appreciate the passion. You know that.
I love Moby Dick.
Yeah, I can tell. I can tell.
You ever seen
Levi
The
loves
Lighthouse?
Moby Dick.
Have I seen what?
The Lighthouse. It came out like a year or two ago. It was Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson.
Okay.
Black and white, like old school aspect.
I remember that movie coming out. I had to see it. Is it good?
Yeah, it was really good. I loved it. It's crazy.
All right, let's think about some of our favorite characters. Thank you for that presentation. So now, what's like one of your favorite movies, or maybe some of your favorite characters? Usually they kind of go hand in hand. They don't have to.
I don't know.
You don't know. You don't like movies.
I mean, I do.
You
They
do?
change all the time.
Do you have one that kind of sticks out that you've always liked, or that you've liked for a long time?
Like an old reliable option.
We know what movie I love.
People ask me my favorite movie, and I think of like one of the 500 movies that I've seen, whichever one is relevant.
I always think of
Just
movies.
pass it.
Well, I'll tell you this. The characters that we typically, and I say we, I mean like collectively. The characters that we really collectively are drawn to are complex characters. And I think that's what I was getting at with what Meredith was talking about. They are complex characters. Why is that? Well, it is because they do seem more real. It's characters that are completely good, that do no wrong, that we get tired of pretty quickly. It's also the villains that are completely evil and have, there's no saving them, that we kind of lose interest in. That's again, you look at any movie that has stood the test of time, you typically have this struggle between good and evil. But it's not just that simple. both your main protagonists, both your main protagonists and antagonists have some shades of gray to them. You can look many different areas. Some of my favorite movies, you have The Dark Knight, Batman, The Joker. You look at the Star Wars saga, the original Star Wars trilogy. You have Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader. Again, they are good and evil, but it's not completely one. Kind of shades of gray. That's what draws us to these characters. Yes, Cameron.
Okay, if I bring my copy of 1953 film movie, can we watch it?
What copy do you have? Do you have it on VHS?
No, I have it on DVD. It's a remastered version of the 1953 film movie.
Why do you keep saying the year that the movie came out?
Listen. I think if we watch this, we can study each character. Each character is very crucial to understanding the human brain, because that is why Herman Melville wrote the book. He wrote the book about the human brain and what it does.
Why don't we read the
Same
book?
thing goes for Apocalypse Now.
Yeah, I've got some ideas. I'll keep that one.
1953 film movie did.
Okay.
Which year did it come out?
1953.
Okay. All right. All people are paradoxical. I'm just going to read this again. And I do want you to think about that. Think about who some of your favorite characters are. So this is actually going to come back up a little bit later on in the semester. Okay. All people are paradoxical. They're easily reducible. So I like characters who have contradictory impulses or shades of ambiguity. Okay. Think about, over the course of the next couple of weeks, think about some characters that you are drawn to, that catch your attention when you watch that movie. It doesn't have to be a movie. It can be a TV show. It can be a book. Any story. Any story with characters. I want you to think. You keep dinging.
Yeah.
It's okay. I ain't mad.
Sad.
Just
That is sad.
stop dinging. All right. So I do want you to think about that as we go on. Okay. So here's what we're going to do today. Okay. So this is what we were going to do yesterday. Again, things just didn't work out completely. So what we're going to do today are what are called paradoxical thought experiments. Okay, so this is on Google Classroom. As you see, I posted it a little bit earlier this morning. So this is our logic practice number 4. And this will most likely be our last one as we are finishing up our unit on logic. I know what you think. Oh, crap. Wrong, huh? Yeah. Logic is the driest part of philosophy. But if we don't understand it, then we're going to have a hard time, rationalizing going forward. Okay? Yeah, it gets better. It really does.
I have fun in class.
This is why I'm your star student.
Yeah, because I appreciate your passion.
And because I love 1953.
I try hard, but you're just unfair.
Unfair to you? You're always Snapchat.
Dude,
He literally just texted me.
no, I didn't.
So,
Aaron said you need 4 minutes ago. God.
I'm up here doing my thing.
And look, we're just talking about how good of a teacher you are.
No, you're not.
We really are.
We really are.
Why do you think
You believe that, Savannah?
Why do you
Fucking
think
smoke.
I took your class 4 times?
Yeah, why do you think I've been here every single year of my high school?
You know what they're doing, Fonnie? They're sucking up. That's what they're doing. So I don't
Because I
get mad
can't
at
get enough of Shrovin's teaching.
it. Okay. All right. Okay. Easy. All right. So this is logic practice number 4. I'm going to click on this and let's go to instructions. My computer's acting a little slow already. This ain't good. All right. Here we go. Instructions. Bear with me. A little slow. There we go. Logic practice number 4, paradoxical thought experiment. So a thought experiment, we haven't really got into them just yet. We're going to see much more of these, especially when we get into our 4th unit of ethics. We'll talk about a lot of different ethical thought experiments. What a thought experiment is somewhat of like a hypothetical situation. It's meant to make you think critically. With this assignment specifically, these are paradoxes that are either stating or asking you a question. But again, as we know about paradoxes, they are contradictory. So we're going to be looking for some inconsistencies here. So I'm just going to read this to you so we're on the same page. The following document consists of 5 of the most commonly discussed and debated paradoxes. As you will see, paradoxes can be found in almost any field subject or topic. The interesting thing about paradoxes is that the overwhelming majority of philosophers, theologians, what's a theologian? What's a theologian? You ever heard that word before?
Isn't he like the study of theology?
Wait, no.
What's theology?
It's the study of Christianity.
Not just Christianity,
Yeah,
but yeah, religions.
Yeah. He teaches.
Yeah, you're talking about religious scholars. And this is going to be important because of one of the paradoxes that we discussed is incredibly important to a lot of different religions. Okay? So, the interesting thing about paradoxes, let's read this again, is that the overwhelming majority of philosophers, theologians, scientists, psychologists, etc., again, we're talking about a large field of experts, believe that paradoxes can be solved, although they are logically inconsistent. This fact allows us to believe that our human reason is limited and logic cannot simply solve every problem or issue that arises, even though it may be the best tool in most circumstances. We have spent time showing how, again, logic can help us make good decisions. We've also spent time looking at some of the issues with logic, especially the field of logic that we've been studying, Aristotelian logic, which is essentially, again, one of the bases of philosophy. Okay, let's continue. Your assignment is to read the paradox, describe why the statement or question is contradictory, and then attempt to solve it the best you can. This is our fourth and most likely last logic practice in our unit. So here to clarify, you'll see when I open this up. If you listen, then you'll really understand. So for part B, I'm asking you the best way to go about this would be to state the logical inconsistencies that you see. For part C, you would then want to attempt to resolve those inconsistencies. Okay, so let's go ahead and open this document. Let's look at it together.
Someone really just sent an entire book on how Trolls World Tour is better than Moby Dick. I'm not reading
Don't do that to yourself.
because it's really not. That's right. Moby Dick is the best.
Have you seen 1953 film Moby Dick?
Have you seen the 1950s?
Oh,
I
God.
seriously, at least watch it.
I
I think we should watch it.
I'm just kidding.
You do trust Cameron. I know you do.
Do we?
Not really.
I know Levi does.
Trust no one and you'll never be disappointed.
All right. So here's what you're going to see for each paradox. I've given you a paradox in a certain field. This first one is a philosophical paradox, a paradox in philosophy that we typically discuss or typically try to resolve. When it says number 1, you'll see this in number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. I've given you the name of this paradox. This is titled and known as the Ship of Theseus paradox. That's 1. A is the statement, the question, the issue that we're trying to resolve, the thought experiment in of itself. B is, how is this a paradox? So again, for B, I'm asking you, what are the inconsistencies that you see? What are the inconsistencies that you see? Because you will see inconsistencies, especially with some of these other ones. And then C, I want you to answer the above question best as you can. So try to resolve those inconsistencies. Try to logically resolve those inconsistencies. Now, can that be done? Again, many experts in many different fields believe that there are paradoxes that can be solved, that potentially all paradoxes can be solved. But, again, how do you do that without being able to logically construct it or deconstruct it? That's the issue here, because that's how our minds work. All right, so let's look at this first one, the paradox in philosophy known as the Ship of Theseus paradox. Okay, I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so we can see it. All right, so here is the thought experiment. I'm going to read this to you, and I just want you to think about some of the things that you see that make this a problem, the inconsistency that you see, the contradictory nature of this, okay? So Theseus owned a ship, and the ship was entirely made of wood. Every time a piece of the ship needed replacing, it was replaced with a different plank of wood. This went on for a few years until eventually it was entirely made of non-original wood. Is Theseus' ship still the same ship, or is it a completely new ship? Okay? So here's what I want you to do with that. Again, I want you to tell me what the problem is. How is this a paradox? Tell me what the problem is here. Because, again, a paradox is something that, again, is logically inconsistent, but can lead to a true conclusion. I'm having to reload this. Let me try that. Okay, so when I say how is this a paradox, tell me what stands out to you. What inconsistencies do you see, or what problems do you see? For answer C, or for part C, I want you to try to answer this the best that you can. So in this case, is Theseus' ship still the same ship, or is it a completely new ship? And again, you need to explain that. You need to logically reason that. Again, it may be difficult. That's the whole purpose of this assignment, because it is going to be difficult to ration all of these answers, or to provide rationale that satisfies the human mind for all of these answers. Okay? So the second one, I'm still kind of waiting on this to reload, but we got this on the board. So our second one is a paradox in literature. You guys know Pinocchio, right? Never heard of Pinocchio? You know, and your favorite movie is a 1953 film, Moby Dick. You don't know Pinocchio.
Because Pinocchio isn't the same as Moby Dick.
You don't even know who Pinocchio is?
I've heard of him. I've never seen the movie.
Okay.
That's fine, but you know who he is.
Moby Dick is amazing.
It's not. Pinocchio is in
It's
Shrek.
okay.
Pinocchio isn't.
Pinocchio isn't Shrek. I remember that.
Okay. What happens?
Wait. You don't like Shrek.
I don't.
You don't like Shrek?
Stop. We ain't going
You
there.
don't
Why
like
is it 'cause of
Shrek?
We ain't going there.
Shrek
We ain't going there. Yeah, really? Really?
No.
But you had to
Because you.
Stop.
You
Stop.
Like Shrek.
Where Shrek does promiscuous things.
All right. No. Now you going. If you say stuff like that,
You're the mod. You're supposed to set a good example.
all right. Yeah. Come on, Mom.
Could be deep straight.
All right. So number 2, the Pinocchio paradox. So what happens when Pinocchio lies, Allison? His nose grows. His nose grows. This happens when this is what happens when Pinocchio lies. Okay. So this is a version of the liar paradox. This specific example is called the Pinocchio paradox. There we go. So Pinocchio paradox. What if Pinocchio says, "My nose will grow now"? Will his nose grow, or will it not grow?
Depends on the intent behind what his words were.
All right. So again, what I want you to do is I want you to tell me how is this a paradox. I want you to pick out the inconsistencies. I want you to attempt to answer it. So what if Pinocchio says, "My nose will grow now"? Will his nose grow? Will it not? So this is a version of the liar paradox. The liar paradox is what I'm saying now is a lie.
Figure.
Is that true or false?
That could be true.
That's a neutral statement.
The next sentence I say is going to be true.
Let's say your next sentence.
The sentence I said before was false. That's the liar paradox.
Oh, I hate it so much.
That's the liar paradox. You see the problems with that, right?
Yes.
That's the liar paradox. All right. So our third paradoxical thought experiment is a paradox in the military. So again, we're covering different fields because I want you to see how these exist in different areas of our life. Okay? So this is known as the Catch-22 paradox. The title of this comes from a book written in the 20th century called Catch-22. But this is an issue that is at hand, especially in the military. Not so much anymore, but definitely so when there was conscription or a military draft. So pilots can get out of combat duty if they are psychologically unfit. But does one that is caught attempting to act insane actually prove themselves to be sane?
Doesn't that sound like acting normal? Like, you can't act.
Maybe. Okay. So again, what I'm asking you to do in part B, how is this a paradox? What is the problem with this statement? What inconsistencies do you see? Yes, sir.
We have a legitimate question from one of the class.
Okay.
So, are we just supposed to answer one or all of them?
All of them.
All of them.
There's only 5 of them. And again, while this is, this is a practice. This is a logic practice. So I just want you to attempt. I just want you to attempt and do your best. Yes.
How is this a paradox? Do we go through that list and pick what paradox is about?
Are you serious? Have you not listened to anything I've said?
Oh my God.
Jordan,
What? I really don't think you have.
I've been listening.
And so what have I said for part B every single time?
You told me how it was a paradox.
I didn't tell you.
Well, you tried to explain it.
I didn't try to explain anything. All I'm doing is reading what it is on the board.
This hurts.
And then I said, look, for part B, pick out the problems that you see. Tell me about the inconsistencies that you see. What's the problem with this statement? That's how it's a paradox.
Are you brushing your eyebrows?
That's you explaining how it is a paradox. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
That's what I've said the whole time, though. That's what makes me think you're not listening to me.
This
Why?
hurts so bad.
What are you doing?
Calling my eyebrows. Making sure they look good.
I'm just gonna go to sleep and I'm just gonna stay asleep.
Ah,
And just stay
Mr. Shaw
asleep.
just dying slowly
Just stay
inside.
asleep. I'm going into
I've
Odin
been
sleep.
dying slowly inside for quite some time.
Everyone dies slowly. On the outside and the inside every day.
All right, so let's see. So again, and I want you to try to answer that Catch-22 paradox again, just the best that you can. It's the best that you can. Because that is a problem, right? Because that is something that actually has happened. Not just once, but it's happened in numerous, countries, is people trying to get out of military service. Again, this is not so much the case now in countries where military service is voluntary.
Voluntarily.
Yeah. Okay. I said it, but it didn't sound good. Then I want to take it back. Okay. But in some countries, and as was the case prior to 19 years military draft law, 1970, Yeah, I think so. Right. So I'm thinking, right after that. That's when you were not drafted into the military. But when people were drafted into the military, they didn't want to go. They were trying to find ways to get out of it. So a lot of the times they would try to act insane, but just acting insane actually proved that you are sane. That is a real issue. Number 4 is a paradox in science. You ever wanted to time travel, Aslan? You ever wanted to time travel? Sure. Yeah. But there's issues with time travel. What happens in the past can affect the future. So this paradox is known as the time travel paradox. For some reason or another, I don't know why. Only you know why. Only you know why. But for some reason or another, you've decided to go back in time and kill your grandfather in his youth. How might this affect the current timeline? Why would I do that? Only you know.
Why would you?
Maybe your grandfather was like a bad person or something.
Define bad person.
There is no bad person.
There's no bad. You serious? Hold on.
Okay, whoa.
You wouldn't say that Hitler's a bad
But he's a very bad person.
Okay.
There are bad
Because that's all right. I'm not glad you brought that up, but it brings to another point. That's also that is a ethical thought experiment. If you could go back in time and kill Adolf Hitler as a child, would you do it? That is an ethical thought experiment.
No.
Okay, why not?
Because if we didn't get World War II, we wouldn't be the superpower we are.
Okay, but there's more to World War II than just Hitler.
Yeah,
Would you go back and would you kill Stalin?
No.
Would you kill Mussolini? Would you kill? We can keep
No.
killing.
I would kill Mao.
Hirohito.
I think you always think like Hitler never
Nothing is certain, and if you take down one tyrant, it's just as likely that there'll be a different one.
Potentially.
And maybe it goes worse.
That's the issue.
That's why we don't
If you
take
killed
me
Karl
down.
Marx,
Last
you would
month.
stop like a lot of things.
Okay, but then maybe a worse system comes along, becomes even more popular.
So what do we do? I guess we shouldn't time travel.
No, you shouldn't. At least you shouldn't do anything with time travel.
Just keep time traveling.
Just keep time traveling. Just create a wormhole. Oh gosh. All right. So again, time travel paradox. What am I asking you to do? I'm asking you to tell me again. How is this a paradox? What problems do you see? Do you see a problem with this, Lena?
Yeah.
You want to kill your grandfather.
Then you
Well, that's the first problem. You want to kill your grandfather.
you die immediately after you kill them.
Hey,
And then if you
right.
die immediately,
Well,
hey, if you never existed, we still go back in time to kill them.
Okay. Again, that creates a whole.
This is why I hate time.
Right. That's why it's a paradox, because there's a lot going on here. So tell me the inconsistencies that you see. You see a couple of them. Very good. And I want you to try to answer this question the best that you can. Simple. The last one is a paradox in theology. So again, this is an important paradox and question that this question is dated as being around 1,000 years old, but I would imagine that this question has been asked for much longer than 1,000 years. I imagine this question's probably been asked for many millennia. And this is known as the, I was trying to this word, omnipotence. There we go. Omnipotence paradox. The omnipotence paradox. What does omnipotent mean? All-knowing, all-powerful. Very good. So the problem here, and this has been attempted to be explained and has been attempted to be answered by theologians, not just in one religion, not just Christianity, Judaism, Islam. Keep going. The Abrahamic faiths of those three, probably more so than any other. But the question here, can God create a stone so heavy that even he can't lift it? It's called the omnipotent paradox. It's called God paradox. Again, how is this a paradox? What is contradictory about this statement, about this question? What inconsistencies do you see? And then you're going to try to do something that has been, people have been debating for thousands upon thousands of years. It is to attempt to answer this question the best that you can. Okay? That is your assignment. Each question has 2 parts. You have to do each question. But again, you're not graded on if you solved it, if you solved the world's problems with your answer. That's not how this is graded. This is graded because this is a practice. So as long as you attempt it, and it's, again, on point, it don't have to be perfect, but as long as it's on point, as long as you are attempting to point out the inconsistencies, which I think you can do that pretty, that can be pretty done, it can be done somewhat easily, to point out the inconsistencies. I also want you to attempt to answer it, okay? Because that's the issue here. That's the issue here, is that do these paradoxes, these questions, do they have answers? And if they do have answers, are they logical explanations? And if they are not, well, again, that shows us that our human mind, our human reason has limits. And if our human mind and human reason has limits, again, that spells a whole nother avenue to go down. All right. So here's what we're going to do. For those of you online, let's see. Oh, let's see. We've got 23 minutes. All right, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to work on this today. I want you to use this time you have now to work on this. I want you to put some time, some effort, some energy into it. Okay? I want you to do that for me. What we'll do is we'll talk about these tomorrow. This is due tomorrow. So again, I want you to if you use this next 20, 25 minutes we have, if you put that to good use, you could probably complete this. But also, I don't mind you taking a little bit of time to think about it either. Because I don't necessarily want to rush you. But I do want you to put your mind to the test here. I know that some of these can seem kind of mind-numbing. Because, again, they are inconsistent. But, again, that's the entire practice itself. Okay? So, use this time wisely. I want you to work on this. I want you to submit it. It is due by beginning of class tomorrow. And then we will start off class discussing some of these paradoxes, some of the issues that we see, and maybe some of the attempted answers that we see. Okay? All right. So for those of you online, you are free to go. I appreciate you. If you'd like to stay on, you're more than welcome to. But if you do not, then and you would rather, go ahead and start working on this, or whatever, you are free to go. Okay, so that's up to you. You know what I do? Well, let me.
You ever see an earthquake? Look at my screen. Earthquake.
Okay.
Or somebody's